In the Arizona desert, there stands a giant of earth and stone. It's the Superstition Mountain, with its mystery of gold. A miner was out prospecting when he found his fortune and his fame. Just Plain Dutchman was his name. Now that Dutchman was a gambler. And a saloon, well, was as fun, but he kept his precious secret. Never trusting anyone. So if you want to go looking for the lost mine of his, the Apaches say it's haunted and to stay away. So don't go in there alone. Don't go there by yourself. For the spirit of the Superstition Mountain just might.
Jesus Christ.
Happy Halloween.
Hey y'all, welcome back to City Limitless, where we explore Mesa and beyond its city boundaries. I'm your host, Ashley, and to kick off spooky season officially, we have Mesa's own prospector, storyteller, actor, and Lost Dutchman expert to tell the tales of the Lost Dutchman and so much more. Please welcome Teton Ken. Welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You got quite the title there, and there's still even more that I could have added to that.
That's only half of it.
Well, let's start from the beginning, Ken. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from? How did you get to Arizona?
Well, I'm originally from Wyoming.
That would make sense with your name, Teton Ken.
Well, I was given that name by a little 8-year-old boy back in the day. You see, I was a member of the Big Brothers and Big Sisters back in Wyoming. Well, one day him and I was up in the Grand Teton Mountains on a mule trip. And we was sitting by the banks of the river there, and there was a campfire going, and I was standing up, and I was warming my hands, and he was sitting down there looking up at me. And he said, "Ken, can I call you Teton from now on?"
Oh.
Yeah. I said, "Why would you want to do that?" He said, "Because where I'm sitting from, you look as tall as those mountains behind you."
What a compliment.
And I've had it ever since.
I love that.
And now that young boy is a big-time lawyer back in Minnesota.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So from Wyoming to Arizona, what made you make that jump? And I know there's probably a lot in between that, too.
Oh, sure there is. I was working in the oil patch in Wyoming. Matter of fact, all over the country. And I retired out of there and came down here to Arizona back in 1998. Got tired of the winters.
Yeah. And we don't have the winters that Wyoming has.
Hopefully not.
You never know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So tell me, you are a former Marine.
Yes, ma'am.
You've worked in the oil fields.
Yes, ma'am.
You've raised donkeys and mules.
Absolutely.
You used to work for the Forest Service and
Right.
alongside the forest firefighters.
Right.
And now you're a prospector, right? In our very own ghost town?
No, hold on a minute there. I did prospecting.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm retired from that now, too.
all right.
My first claim I ever had was on the Illinois River in Oregon, right, before I came to Arizona. And me and a friend of mine, we had a claim there, a 20-acre claim on the river, dredging underwater. And did that for one summer. It cost us $3,000 to extract $5,000 in gold.
Oh, no.
Now, that's the typical miner right there, believe me. After that, it was out in Oregon. And then after that, I just traveled around the country for several months with a couple of my burros, playing the part of the old miner at county fairs and different gatherings and festivals and stuff like that. And then I wound up in Texas, where I built an attraction called the Lost Dutchman Mine of the East in a place called Canton, Texas.
Okay.
Canton, Texas is the home of the country's biggest weekend flea market in the whole country.
Wow.
It's called First Monday Trade Days.
Mm-hmm.
You can look it up.
Well, tell me now. I want to talk about the Lost Dutchman and the superstitions. Can you tell our audience the story of the Lost Dutchman and his gold out there?
People have been wondering about that for over 130 years now. And I'm here to set the record straight.
All right.
The Dutchman was real. He was a German immigrant come out here in the 1860s looking to get rich like everybody else. When he first arrived in Arizona, he wasn't here in the desert. He was up north in the San Francisco mountains, working for other gold mine owners. Now, there's a story, which I kind of kin to, that how he discovered his fabulous gold mine. There's a place called Fort McDowell. Now, Fort McDowell, an army post, catered to Apaches, but Phoenix wasn't far away at that time. And there was a doctor living in Phoenix who would come to the fort, help out with the soldiers, medical problems and stuff, and the Apaches. He did that for several years. And then one day, one of the chiefs of the tribe approached the doctor. His name was Dr. Thorne. And he said, "Doctor, we want to reward you for your helping our people." Now, that wasn't very common back in those days. The Apache didn't like the white men.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. But however, they put the doctor on a horse, blindfolded him. And the doctor and the band of Apaches rode out into the desert for several miles and then stopped. They took the doctor off the horse, removed his blindfold, and laying on the desert floor, there was a gold ore so rich, as big as your hand, great big chunks of it laying everywhere.
Wow.
The doctor looked around, couldn't believe his eyes. The elder of the Indians said, "Take all you want as our gift." The doctor then stripped off his clothes, right down to took his long johns off, tied knots in the legs, and commenced to pick up all that ore he could find and just stuff it into his long johns. When he got that done, tied up the sleeves and everything, slung them up the back of the horse, and then he got back on. Well, he put his clothes on first, But then they blindfolded him again and took him back to Fort McDowell.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, when he got back, he was feeling pretty good about this, right? A couple of years later, he spent all the gold.
I hope on something worthwhile, right?
But he had the idea. Say, well, wait a minute. I might be able to go find that. So he set the word out along the fort in Phoenix. He wants to put together an expedition to go find. And if you join this expedition, you get a piece of it. Make you rich. So about 45 would-be miners and fortune hunters showed up, right? They got on their horses. They had provisions. They went out and they went looking. Now, the doctor remembered that the day he left to go get that gold with the Indians, the sun was on his face. He was going east. He figured it was at least 3 or 4 hours. He had a kind of a map in his head. What good that'll do you in the desert, I don't know. But anyway, they took off. 2-3 weeks they was out hunting, looking. Couldn't find a thing. But all the while, the Apaches was ghosting them, following them. But they didn't mess with them. They was running low on supplies, low on water. They had to go back. When they came back to Fort McDowell, everybody dispersed. They was frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
They was mad at them, except one member of that expedition. And guess who that was? Jacob Waltz, better known as the Dutchman.
All right.
Now, at that time, he had a homestead on the Salt River.
Mm-hmm.
So he went back to his homestead, outfitted himself again, and went out looking. Guess what?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. When he got back to Phoenix, Jacob Waltz, the Dutchman, was never, ever broke again. And that's documented.
Wow.
The day he died, on Halloween night, October the 31st, 1891, they found, after he died, a candle box full of pure gold ore under his bed.
Really?
And at that time, gold was like, I don't know, maybe $20 an ounce. It's over 2,000 now.
Mm-hmm.
That gold in that little candle box assayed out to about $5,000.
Wow.
In 1891, $5,000 was.
You're a rich man.
Mm-hmm. And people have been looking for it ever since.
Do you know where the gold is, Ken?
Let me tell you something. When I first came out here from Wyoming, I brought some animals with me, burros and mules. And I started a little packing business up in the Superstition Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
I take people up on little day hikes, pack all the campers,
Yep.
hikers. I pack all their stuff up on the mules. I go day trips, 2-3 day trips a week. I take film crews up there. I take Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. I take just regular hikers.
Yeah.
But inadvertently, every time I meet them at the trailhead, get all packed up, one of them would always come up to me and say, "You know where the gold mine is?" I said, "If I did, I sure as hell wouldn't be taking you up there."
I feel like that's a fair answer. Now, Ken, tell me a little bit about what your day-to-day is when it comes to the winter months in Arizona.
Well, come November, I'm headquartered at the Superstition Mountain Lost Dutchman Museum on North 88, better known as the Apache Trail, on your way to Canyon Lake.
Yes.
And I'm there on the weekends. I provide burro rides for the kids, donkeys. I've got a small little petting zoo. I even got a thing where you can throw axes.
Oh.
Right. Well, I start the lecture series off there in January,
Mm-hmm.
telling the story about the Lost Dutchman. I have another lecture I do out there called, remember Paul Harvey?
Oh.
You don't remember? You don't remember Paul
I
Harvey?
don't remember Paul Harvey.
The rest of the story?
You're gonna have to tell me.
Paul Harvey he was an iconic man. He had a winter home here in Phoenix. But he was, for 50 years, he was on the radio telling really cool stuff about what happened to him in America,
Mm-hmm.
personalities, all that kind of stuff, movie stars, whatever. And I do this little lecture called In Honor of Paul Harvey, Arizona, the rest of the story. Now, I think some of your viewers out there are going to recognize the name.
Absolutely, yeah.
You're young. You're young.
Our viewers will know that one for sure. Now, tell me what your guests can experience with you on those Saturdays in the winter months out at the Superstition Museum area.
We have a variety of all kinds of people that come out to the museum.
Mm-hmm.
Local folks from Phoenix, Glendale, Mesa, Maricopa, anywhere in Arizona. However, we have the French, we have the Germans, we have Japanese, we have from all over the world. We have tourists
Yes.
who visit our museum.
Uh-huh.
And I like to say that on TripAdvisor, we're number 2 in
Wow.
Arizona. We are number 2 in Arizona, right behind the Grand Canyon.
That's saying something.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.
According to TripAdvisor.
Good old TripAdvisor, right? Now, Ken, tell me about, you have an upcoming children's book coming out.
Yes, I
Can
do.
you tell my audience about that? What is the book about? What can they expect with the book? And what inspired you to write this book?
Well, we'll start off by what inspired me. Now, I've been playing the part of the Lost Dutchman in different... Oh, matter of fact, I'm also the official mascot of Apache Junction
Really?
as the Lost Dutchman. And once a year, we have what they call the Lost Dutchman Marathon.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm very familiar
I'm
with
the
that.
mascot for that event
Yeah.
in February. But the book, well, I got to tell you how this got started.
Please do.
For many years in Apache Junction, that's where I live, I would drive up and down this one particular street called Ironwood.
Mm-hmm.
And on the west side of Ironwood, between the Apache Trail and, say, 16th Street, there's a building there called the Little Prospector's Daycare.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful little sign out front.
Yeah.
And I passed by there one day and I go, and that gave me the idea. That gave me the idea for the Dutchman and the little prospectors.
Oh, how adorable is that?
Now, the story is about the Dutchman when he first came to Arizona. He's a German immigrant. He traveled all the way from the Gulf Coast from Georgia. And when he first set foot in the Arizona territory, he meets up with these 6 orphan kids from a wagon train.
Okay.
Well, let's just say it didn't turn out too good for the parents and all. But he takes them under their wing and takes them, make sure they get to where they're going.
Oh. And when can we expect that book to come out?
Probably in this coming November.
All right.
Exclusively, at first, at the museum.
Awesome.
The museum has...
first rights on it, then.
No. No, the museum has a gift shop. Half of the gift shop walls are books on Arizona history, the Lost Dutchman Mine, all kinds of different subjects on Arizona by local authors.
Oh, awesome.
Mostly local authors.
I'm super excited that you get to add your book to that.
Well,
and
it's been a work in progress for a long time.
Yeah, but well deserved.
And I'm planning on, after this comes out, maybe next year, I'll continue the story on and with the legend,
Ooh,
the Lost Gold Mine.
I love that idea. Well, Ken, let's wrap it up. What can you tell your visitors that is a common question that you get to expect when they come out to see you and visit the museum?
The main entrance, the main building of the museum is a small fee to go through. It's a beautiful inside. It's all set up really nice, Arizona history. But the grounds themselves are free to walk around the grounds. We have gunfights on the weekends called the Superstition Renegades. The leader of that group, the gunfighter group, is one of our board members of the museum. We got the Audie Murphy barn you can travel through, and it's movie and TV history of Apache land.
Yes. And you mentioned something about there's images of all things that have been filmed there.
Sure. Death Valley Days was filmed there. Audie Murphy, the most decorated soldier of World War II. When he became a movie star, he made lots of westerns in Arizona. There's a beautiful display inside the barn of all them shows, Rifleman, Gunsmoke.
Yep.
Matter of fact, we even have Doc Adams' buggy
Really?
right there in the barn.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And outside we have a model railroad display. It took 3 years for all volunteers in the museum to build this thing. It's a big hit out there. And, of course, we have up on the hill, we have a stamp mill. Now, you probably don't know what a stamp mill is. Now, back in the mining days, the mining companies would bring their ore to a stamp mill. A stamp mill is a great, big, huge thingamajig that crushes the ore.
Oh.
Pulverizes it.
Yeah.
Gets it ready for milling. We have displays of that, too. I personally have a horse-powered drilling machine that I brought over here from Texas.
Wow.
It's called a Powers boring machine. It goes around, the horse goes around, and digs a hole in the ground.
Wow.
It was the first rotary drilling machines ever built.
Yeah.
And, of course, our volunteers are great out there. We have over 200 volunteers.
That help run the museum. Incredible.
The grounds, maintenance. Me, I'm a volunteer myself.
The volunteer.
I've been with the museum since the gate opened. Matter of fact, I'm the one that put the mailbox out front.
Oh my gosh. Well, Teton Ken, it has been an absolute pleasure talking about Lost Dutchman, all things superstition museum.
Speaking about that, I noticed that the Halloween theme.
Yeah.
Did I mention earlier that the Dutchman died on Halloween?
You did mention that. Remind me, October 31st,
1891. Now, I'm not too sure if that was actual Halloween back in them days.
Do you guys ever have a ghost haunting of the Dutchman out there?
Oh, there has been rumors.
Really?
As a matter of fact, when you talk about the Dutchman, and especially Halloween, there is a story. Now, the Apaches tell this story. In the Arizona desert, there stands a giant of earth and stone. It's the Superstition Mountain with its mystery of gold. A miner was out prospecting when he found his fortune and his fame. Just Plain Dutchman was his name. Now that Dutchman was a gambler. And a saloon, well, was as fun, but he kept his precious secret. Never trusting anyone. So if you want to go looking for the lost mine of his, the Apaches say it's haunted and to stay away. So don't go in there alone. Don't go there by yourself. For the spirit of the Superstition Mountain just might.
Jesus Christ.
Happy Halloween.
Teton Ken, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
This was incredible. I can't wait for the winter months to bring my family out there, to have visitors come and see you. We'll definitely be running into each other again. Thank you. Seriously.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, guys, that's a wrap this week. Please stay tuned for our next week's episode as we have some more spooky fun in store for you. Check us out on all forms of social media and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye.
I need somewhere to escape to.